I do solemnly declare that the testimony I shall give here today shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help me God. Your Honor, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, everybody knows the story of the three little pigs. Or at least they think they do. But I'm going to let you in on a little secret. Nobody knows the real story because nobody has heard my side of the story. I am the wolf. Alexander T. Wolf. You can call me Al. Now, I don't know how this big bad wolf thing got started, but it's all wrong. Maybe it's because of our diet. Hey, it's not my fault that wolves like to eat cute little animals like sheep and bunnies and pigs. That's just the way we are. If cheeseburgers were cute, folk would probably call you big and bad too. But like I was saying, this whole big bad wolf thing is all wrong. The real story is about a sneeze and a cup of sugar. This is the real story. The true story of the three little pigs. Way back in Once Upon a Time, I was making a birthday cake for my dear old granny. I had a terrible sneezing cold. I ran out of sugar, so I walked down the street to ask my neighbor for a cup of sugar. Now this neighbor was a pig, and he wasn't too bright either. He built his house of straw. Can you believe it? I mean, who in their right mind would build a house of straw? So of course, the minute I knocked on the door, it fell right in. I didn't want to just walk into someone else's house, so I called, "Little pig, little pig, are you in?" No answer. I was just about to go home without the cup of sugar for my dear old granny, when my nose started to itch. I felt a sneeze coming on. Well, I huffed, and I snuffed, and I sneezed a great sneeze. And you know what? That whole darn house of straw fell down. And right there, in the middle of the straw, was the first little pig, dead as a doornail. He'd been home the whole time. It seemed like such a shame to leave a perfectly good ham dinner lying there in the ground. So I ate it up. Think of it as a cheeseburger just lying there. I was feeling a little better, but I still didn't have that cup of sugar for. So I went to my next neighbor's house. Now this guy was the first little pig's brother. He was a little smarter, but not much. He'd built his house of sticks. I rang the bell on the stick house. No answer. I called, "Mr. Pig, Mr. Pig, are you in?" And he yelled back,
"Go away! You can't come in! I'm shaving the hairs on my chinny chin chin!"
I just about grabbed the doorknob when I felt a sneeze coming on. Well, I huffed, and I snuffed, and I tried to cover my mouth. I sneezed a great sneeze. And you're not going to believe it, but this guy's house fell down just like his brother's. When the dust had cleared, there was the second little pig, dead as a doornail. Wolf's honor. Now you know food will spoil if you just leave it out in the open. So I did the only thing there was to do. I had dinner again. Think of it as a second helping. I was getting awfully full, but I still didn't have that cup of sugar pop. So I went to the next neighbor's house. Now this neighbor was the first and second little pig's brother. He must have been the brains of the family, because he'd built his house of bricks. I knocked on the brick house. No answer. I called, "Little pig! Little pig, are you in?" And do you know what that rude little porker answered?
"Get away from here, Wolf, and don't bother me again."
Talk about impolite. He probably had a whole sack full of sugar in his house, and he wouldn't give me one little cup full. What a pig. I was just about to go home and maybe make a nice birthday card instead of a cake when I felt my cold coming on. Well, I huffed and I snuffed and I sneezed once again. And then that rude little pig yelled,
"And your granny can sit on a pin."
Now, I'm usually a pretty calm fellow, but when somebody talks about my granny like that, I go a little crazy. When the cops showed up, of course I was trying to break down this little pig's door, and all the time I am huffing and puffing and sneezing and making a real scene. The rest, as they say, is his story. The newspaper reporters found out about the two little pigs I'd had for dinner. They figured a sick man going to borrow a cup of sugar did not sound very exciting, so they jazzed up the whole story with that puff and blow your house down. And they made me the big bad wolf. That's it. That is the story. The true story of the three little pigs. I was free. So you see, ladies and gentlemen, Your Honor, now that you know the true story of the three little pigs, I believe you have no choice but to clear the reputation and name of Alexander T. Wolf of the libel and slander that has been my burden since once upon a time. Because as we all know, wolves are good.